Sandra all the time is here with a cold heart true. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra. And
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth-telling, more problem-solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. All right. Good morning, Cayman. Happy Wednesday. Hump Day Wednesday. How are you guys doing? Hope everybody's having a fantastic week. So far. Let me see. Why are people calling me? Yes, we have a show. Just give me a second. The thing to probably not do is to call me because I'm obviously trying to get ready, honey child. All right, let me get the links for everyone. Hope you guys are having a fantastic morning so far. Yes, halfway through the week and getting the day started. All right, let me see here now. News channel links are coming to you. Just give me one quick second. Mm-hmm. All right. Got lots to talk about today. Yesterday's big news coming out of America is P. Diddy finally being indicted on multiple charges. Man, this put a shockwave through, I suppose, a lot of communities. And wow, I don't even know where to begin except to say this is a hot mess. By the way, if you are in the news channel, we have the option, which I think is kind of cool, of doing polls right in the WhatsApp news channel. So you'll see that occasionally we send out polls on different topics. And so I'm going to talk about some of those this morning because pretty good information in there for sure. All right, so I've changed a few things in the studio here with my lighting, and I don't know how it's going to look on screen. So you guys got to tell me how it looks. And I am still in quite a bit of pain, to be honest. I got some other meds yesterday because the original one that I was taking was really not, it was making me feel a bit weird. I don't know how to describe it, but y'all know certain medications, they may help with the pain, but they make you feel not good in a different way. I've always wondered if that's what people get high off of. Like that's the high that they enjoy. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy feeling out of sorts. And quite frankly, if you know anything about me, I'm the worst pill popper. You know, I just wasn't designed, let me put it that way, to want to take pills or anything like that. I'm not designed for that kind of life. I don't like intravenous stuff. So it was challenging for me to take that one. So I got another prescription yesterday that helped the last time I had this other pain in my shoulder. So I've only taken, that's like one a day. I've only taken one of those. I'm hoping that in the next couple days that one will start to settle things down for me. Because truth be told, I just wasn't taking the first prescription that was given to me. So, all right, I think we need to work on we got to work on this light. Anyway, been making some changes yesterday. I was, let me try to, let's see. I was trying to do some decluttering around the place. 'Tis the season. And that included the office. So going through drawers and taking stuff out. And I'm going to have a whole donation bin here soon. So I think this needs to be, might have to make some adjustments. So yes, so I've been making a lot of decluttering, taking stuff out, realizing how many things are still in unopened boxes. And I'm just like, what? So clothes, everything is getting decluttered. So we'll work on that. No, Charm. It's a seam light that I've always used. It's just in a different position. Now, let me try to move it and I'll show y'all something. This shows you the whole thing with, to be honest, this is not the correct stand for it. So it struggles to stay on this stand properly. Whoa. Lordy, this, what do we call this? Thing is not strong enough for this light, I'm afraid. All right. How's that? Any better? But I've got shadows on this side. Anyway, we'll work on this. We'll work on this later on. Don't worry about it. It's kind of so much brighter where it is. I may have to just put it back where I had it. But yes, trying to work on a few. Let me dim it a little bit. Okay. All right. We may have to work on a few things around here. I'm getting a new background light as well that we're going to be trying out. That's not too bad, I feel like. All right. We'll work on it. We got to get the positioning just right. And then basically, once you get the positioning right, it's like, don't move the light. But the ball head is not strong enough for this light. This light is actually quite heavy. All right. So good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing? Everybody's got the links now. All right. So yesterday, this person said it's too bright. It makes you look like you're bleaching. Accident, track broke down. Driver left the vehicle in the middle of the road by Lantern Point. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Wow, not the right place to leave that vehicle. Okay, give me a second. Let me just post this on, in our social media for people who may not be listening to the show, but are paying attention to why the traffic now is going to be backed up in that area. So I would say expect traffic delays based on this picture. Let me see here now. Okay, expect traffic delays. Why would the driver leave the vehicle in the middle of the road? Do y'all not have cell phones that you can call for help and then not for nothing, but we were talking about this yesterday, that y'all are some of the worst drivers. In fact, on that point, let me see, I think somebody else sent a video of the same thing. Let's see what this one is. On that point, somebody sent a question yesterday about the proper use of, yep, there it is. These work vehicles, boy, I tell you. Somebody sent a question yesterday about the proper use of this roundabout. I think it's the one in West Bay. As you're going into West Bay, like past the Kimpton, there's a sign there that tells you, let me see, where is that? Is that the one? Salt Creek, Vista Del Mar Yacht Club. Like, where is it that you're going? And based on the different responses that were in that and how confused people are, I can see why people obviously have so many accidents in our roadways. I can see what the problem is. And I think that honestly, the NRA should pay attention to this. Because I know we use roundabout because we think that they're more efficient and supposedly they help with traffic. Like, you're not supposed to have traffic jams around roundabouts. I don't know about that. But that's what they tell you. And so, there's supposed to be arguments in favor of it. What I would say is maybe they need to read the responses in this message, and then you'll see that people are confused with roundabouts. And the more complicated the roundabout, the more confusion there is. So this one has several different arteries that you can take. And clearly, let me show you the picture here. Clearly, people don't know which one to take. And the person said they've been having a bit of a debate about how this is actually supposed to work. So I think the safest thing to do, but I see people, I'm always so cautious in roundabouts, especially the A.L. Thompson's roundabout, but all of them, it's the same problem, basically. When you have multiple lane roundabouts, people will be in that inside lane, and they try to cut across to the outside lane. So say, for example, you're in the Butterfield / A.L. Thompson's roundabout, right? There are people who come around it, and they're the inside lane, and then you're in the outside lane, and they want to go to West Bay. I think technically, legally, they might be able to do it, but they don't have the right of way. So they just shoot across and they run into people all the time because they seem to think that they have the right of way, because normally I think anything to your right would have a right of way. But in a roundabout, when you're in that lane, you got to keep going to either circle back around the roundabout, or you keep going like you're going towards Industrial Park. And even then, you got to be careful because people are coming out of the bypass and they're not paying attention to the traffic to their right, and they're trying to shoot across. So it's like multiple points for possible collisions. And so very, very dangerous, I think. You know, you just got to keep your eyes peeled in a roundabout. They are definitely the most accident prone areas. And so I'm always, always cautious, you know, with roundabouts, because I'm just like, obviously, hold on a second. This phone doesn't sound right this morning. Obviously, they're very, very high risk. Good morning, caller. Hello. Hold on. Can't hear anything. Uh-oh. Let me see. Caller, feel free to call back. Let me see. Yeah, so it's a bit of a problem. So I can make this light warmer. This is warmer. Is that better in terms of skin tone? I think that's closer to, but that's all the way at color temperature. Where did I just move it to? That's 3250 in the color temperature chart. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Not bad. How you doing?
Yeah, sometimes my phone and Flo are in a conspiracy against me, so sorry about that. I just want to say, I just caught, basically just caught the last part of what you were talking about with the roundabouts.
Yes,
what I want
they're
to know
confusing and people don't know how to use them.
Well, they're confusing. Sometimes I feel like some of this road strategy is just designed to just, I don't know, because we have a lot of drivers who are not considerate drivers. What I've been seeing lately a lot is people overtaking on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And even yesterday, a motorbike, I was like, I watched a motorcycle behind me the whole way up, and then suddenly he was gone, only to realize he was on the left. What if there was a pedestrian standing there as they rightly can be waiting for a bus? What if somebody, just sort of veered over to the left or whatever, because you can't see them. It was quite a blind spot.
Yeah. And was he overtaken like on a straight area?
Yeah, I was like, this was like the bypass going towards Dale Thompson.
Okay.
And coming from West Bay. Mm-hmm. And he just rode the shoulder all the way up. And it's like, we barely have a shoulder to begin with. So he's just riding that all the way up. And it's like, sometimes I really want to know, like, do motorcyclists have a different set of laws? Because they'll go down the center lane. They make their own lane. Right? And
no,
I'm like, yes, I know you have a smaller vehicle, but it's a road, still have to be road worthy and follow the road rules.
Yeah, I don't, it's it is one of those things, and unfortunately for them, if they get in an accident, they're the ones who are more likely to get seriously injured. So you would think that they would be more cautious, but it's unbelievable the chances that people take and the things that they do here that is just shocking.
We really don't have a lot of police. I know they can't be everywhere at all times, but we really don't have a lot of police presence. So people are just willing to take the chance. They're like, well, it's more than likely I got an 8 out of 10 chance that they're not going to be there. So people are willing to take it and risk it at the lives of other people and themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what else is becoming a huge problem now is that the scooters. So people are now starting to use scooters as vehicles, which I think the government needs to address. I guess it's certainly cheap and alternative, but it's a problem because these individuals are following no road rules. They're not even wearing a helmet.
No helmet. Helmet.
And I've seen it thinking,
bicycles, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen it thinking it's so crazy. And I've actually seen people take a regular scooter and put some kind of I don't know if they put some sort of a motor or something on it, but it seems like they might be modifying it so it goes even faster than it's intended to go.
People are doing a lot of MacGyver tricks just to be able to get to work for their very low paying job to survive in Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
People are doing all types of things because we still don't have to this day a reliable transit system. Let's not talk about the way the bus drivers drive either. They're on a whole other level.
Yeah. Well, thank you, caller.
With lives in their cars. Take care.
All right. And speaking of bus drivers, over the weekend, I ran into a lady from West Bay who said, Sandy, can you do or say something about these bus drivers? Because their behavior at the primary bus station there in Georgetown is really, really egregious. And I said, well, what do you mean? What are they doing? And she said they're out there with all sorts of profanity and they're talking loudly and yelling and screaming so that even people who are in that building, the one that Frank Schillen owns right next to, it's like where Starbucks is downstairs. What's it called again? Something Towers. Zeus Towers? No. What's it called? Twin Towers? Something. Anyway, something Towers. And so, you know, they're like, unfortunately, a lot of people are having in that building, that office building, there's only so much they can do to block out the noise. And they're hearing at upper levels on that side of the building. They're able to hear the bus drivers, you know, talking loudly and using profanity and all sorts of madness. So it's crazy. If you're listening, Monaco Towers, thank you. I knew he named it something fancy, honey Jam. So if you are a bus driver and you're there, try to remember that not everybody wants to hear the loudness and the yelling and the whatever hoopling and hoppling and whatever y'all be doing at the bus stop. You know, I get it that a lot of times you're sitting there idle because you got to wait until your bus is, I guess, full or you have designated times that you have to leave. But yeah, it's pretty wild that they are just going on the most ridiculous kind of way. People said that the law school used to be in that building. And sometimes the law school students would be trying to sit exams and do stuff in the library. And they were like, they've since moved, I understand, but they were like, it's impossible because these darn bus drivers have no respect for anybody. I thought, wow, what a hot mess. I mean, I don't know if it helps, but I told the person, all right, I would bring it up. I'd mention it. So bus drivers, please. You know, I do walk by there sometimes when I go to court, and I guess I'm just so zoned out that I've never really paid them any mind, to be honest. But yes, you're being asked to tune it down. So, yeah, there's mass confusion about how these roundabouts work. So what I would recommend, there's a couple of things that I would recommend to the NRA. The first one is maybe ease up on the use of roundabouts. I know, like I said, it's an English thing, and I guess because we're supposed to be English, we think whatever. But, you know, what, 85, 89% of the people who visit this country are visiting from North America. And most people from North America have never seen a roundabout. So much so that I had to tell you that when I use a GPS, when I go to Miami and I go to the States and I use a GPS, what the GPS thinks is a roundabout and is calling a roundabout, I'm like, that's not a roundabout, you know, just because they don't really use proper roundabouts. What they tend to use is like basically if the road is curving, the GPS identifies it as a roundabout. And I'm like, that's just a around the bend kind of thing. That is definitely not a roundabout. So I don't know. So I would say maybe not use them as much if possible. And then the other thing is, if you're going to use them, what we need is we need more education around how they are supposed to be properly used. Now, you're always supposed to, the general rule when you're driving on, we drive on the left here. The general rule is you give way to anybody on the right. But like I said, that doesn't mean that someone who's in the inner lane, when you're actually in the roundabout, that you should be giving way to them. Give way to the right is when you're at the yield sign. So you come to a yield sign, you're supposed to look. This is why last week I had trouble driving, because you're supposed to look to the right and give way to any oncoming traffic. But once you're in the roundabout, you're not going to be looking to your right when you're going left, trying to give way to traffic over here. And that's where the problem comes in and why people are literally running into each other. So like I said, anytime I get into a roundabout, I'm just so cautious. And I try to indicate. The other thing that can help if people are paying attention is if you actually utilize your indicator, that might give some idea if people are paying attention of what their intentions are and where they're going. But again, that's not foolproof either. But yeah, I've seen a lot more of these scooters on the roadway. And I can't believe that these people actually are doing what looks like probably, 15, 20, maybe even 25 miles per hour on that little scooter. No protection at all. My God, you're on a scooter. It's you and the asphalt or somebody's car if you have a collision, right? Zilch, zero protection. They don't put on a helmet, which to me is crazy because people have fell doing no speed at all. And if you hit your head the right way, you're a goner. And they're weaving in and out of traffic like it's nobody's business. And I have thought to myself, wow, these people obviously love living dangerously. I remember a number of years ago, there was a professor at UCCI, may she rest in peace, who used to scoot to work all the time. And sometimes I'd be visiting my aunt there on Walker's Road, and I would see her in her little scooter. And this, was that a motorized scooter? Or was that her just... I guess it would have been some sort of motorized scooter. And so apparently one day I no longer saw her. And I was like, oh, whatever happened to that lady? And I can't remember if my aunt told me or somebody else. But they're like, oh, she died. And I said, she died? What happened? She fell on her scooter and hit her head. And that was it. That's all it took. And I kind of want to say that she probably even wore a helmet. I can't be certain if she did or not. But, those scooters are not meant for use in the way that people are now converting them into transportation. And again, I think the National Roads Authority, the police, whoever these safety agencies are, need to start to contemplate seriously about if there's going to be any enforcement around these types of vehicles. I mean, legally, you're not even supposed to have a go-kart on the road, much less a scooter. So we need to figure it out before somebody dies. And there's been a couple accidents since then that people have, gotten ran over because some of them are using the sidewalks, some don't use the sidewalks. It's like they just make up the rules as they go along. And as a result of that, sometimes you're not even expecting to see them as a car driver. And so all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere, there they are. And it's creating a real hazard. Damien says, wait another 10 years when that strip develops more and inexperienced drivers. Stephen, good morning. Joining us from the UK. Good morning, Strong Will. Marshall says, I didn't hear you speak about the last incident at Bananas Bar. What are they waiting on to shut down that place? Well, we can certainly talk about that here in a second. Speaking of the polls, that was one of the polls that went out this weekend on the channel. Damien says, now you have these uncultured drivers uncultured drivers overtaking in the middle lanes. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The road rules are just completely being ignored, unfortunately, by a lot of people. Regina, thanks. Regina says on Facebook that the man is sitting on the side of the road. I just passed. What can he do? He can't move. Okay, so I guess whoever sent that is and didn't see him. Okay. This is the truck that is broken down. And, these things can happen for sure. We can have vehicles that break down, and normally you try to move them out, but we don't even have proper shoulders. So where are you going to move them to is the God's honest truth. you have to wait for, I guess, the tow truck to come. No tow truck is going to make it in this type of morning traffic. But I'm looking at this vehicle and I do have to wonder, how well you guys are maintaining your vehicles. How roadworthy are your vehicles? And I think maybe all of us have been guilty of this, especially when it comes to our tires, not having your tires checked on a regular basis. That's why and it depends on how much you drive and the type of driving that you do. So the type of driver you are can put a lot of wear and tear on your vehicles. And I think at least once a year, even if you have a multi-year inspection, you need to be checking your tires for safety reasons, because they can slip out and bolts get lost and all sorts of stuff. Some of the newer vehicles might tell you if you have a flat tire, if you have an object in the tire that needs to be patched or to have a look at. But yeah, sometimes you've got to rotate, like have your tires balanced and rotated and all that sort of thing. So folks, make sure that you are getting that done. Damien says, you mean a regular bicycle with a motor? These roads will soon look like Bangkok. Well, I tell you what, I've actually seen people take not a regular bicycle. They have taken a scooter and put a seat on it. Okay, so the little motor scooters, they've taken those and they put seats on them, jerry-rigged them with a seat. And in one instance, I saw 2 people riding one of those. So the guy was like standing up. I'm not even sure how they balanced it. And the woman was seated on some kind of little seat that they somehow managed to put on there. And I thought, wow, this is right on Walker's Road. And I couldn't believe my eyes, because I thought, this is so dangerous. And they were booking it in terms of speed. They were moving along quite nicely. I guess, as the caller said, people are looking for the cheapest alternative, not realizing how much danger they're putting their own lives in for a number of different reasons. Anybody who's in a car, from a visual point of view, and the brain has to see you first. It's like the eye see, but the brain has to register what it is that it's seeing. And the truth of the matter is that you're at great risk, because it has been proven time and time again that people in vehicles are less likely to see anybody else. Pedestrians, cyclists, I don't know what we call these scooter riders, because they're not really cyclists, but whatever they are, they're not as likely to see you. And that's dangerous, because they're not as likely to give you, the right of way, or to stop for you, or to, whatever. And that means that you're at high risk. So Cassius says, what do you all expect? We have allowed the public transport system to be taken over by uneducated, uncivilized people who have no regard for civility. We shouldn't be surprised. And this is another thing, yesterday we were talking about, towards the end of the show, the suggestion that all government vehicles, all agencies, even the MP vehicles, should be fitted out with dash cams. And, that's what it should be. But I think that it's, the sad thing about it is that, unfortunately, even the public buses, in my opinion, should have these dash cams for the protection of everyone. We see people get in the bus trying to abuse people sexually and otherwise, and this would be, evidence of that type of thing. And it would also perhaps keep the bus drivers in check. Things go missing on the buses. People leave wallets and they disappear, and that sort of thing. So it might not be a bad idea, really, to contemplate having that put in the vehicle. So yesterday we did a poll. And the poll question was, should ministers be able to use the government vehicles for personal use? So we did put up a post about this, and I was kind of intrigued by the responses. I think at some point our sensibilities have changed, and what we think about has changed. So towards, again, the end of the show, we were talking a little bit about the misuse of these vehicles. And so a lot of people, the ministers now have purchased these vehicles. They don't fall under the protocol office, because someone's like, oh, if they have access to protocol vehicles, that I'm like, these are not protocol vehicles. I think y'all need to understand precisely what transpired here. They purchased these vehicles under their ministry. They're not part of the protocol fleet, because if they were, protocol actually does have rules under which and how these vehicles can be used. And they have to be used by the protocol drivers. That isn't what's happening here. What is happening here is that these vehicles are purchased in the ministry, and then the ministers are just driving them at will. There is absolutely nobody has been able to point to me any rules in relation to the use of these vehicles. One thing I've noticed with the positioning of this light is it actually blocks it's blocking my it is blocking my stand. My clock. I have very limited room here. I don't think people understand how small this room is, but now it's directly blocking my clock. So I'm going to have to move it from there. But yes, I was saying, there's no policy in place. There's no, okay, if you have had X number of accidents, you don't get to drive this vehicle, even if you purchased it for your ministry. None of that is in place, and we're waiting for disaster to happen. The government needs to rein this in before something serious happens. And there's so many possibilities of what something serious happening could mean. We've already had one vehicle totaled completely, and a proper investigation can't be taken out because somebody dropped the ball between the police. The HSA says it wasn't them. It looks like the police are going to take the fall for this. So now we can't even prove what his intoxication level was or wasn't, right? To be able to see what caused the accident. We've had no updates. We don't know what the CCTV footage found. Absolutely nothing. So this is crazy. And then the responses from yesterday, I found to be pretty crazy, where people were like, because somebody else brought up that they saw the premier being taken shopping at A.L. Thompson's, being dropped off at the front and then, picked back up at the front. And people are like, oh, well, she is the premier of this country. That's okay. I'm like, what? Listen, she's the premier of this country. Yes. If she wants to have a driver in her own vehicle, I don't see anything wrong with that. But a driver to take you shopping, oh, well, she works so hard. She's always in the government building. Y'all need to stop lying. I mean, seriously. So when she goes to the salon, the grocery store, all these places, she must have a driver. Okay, you can have a driver. You make enough money to pay for a driver. Does she have a driver in Cayman Brac as well? I mean, at least in her case, to give that situation some degree of credibility, at least she has a driver that is assigned, I'm assuming in that instance, to the protocol office. The other ministers are driving the vehicles themselves, smoking in the vehicles, having, different forms of things in the vehicles. We saw the Vaseline. God only knows what that was really for. All this type of stuff. There is nothing, no protocols, no procedures, I cannot believe when I hear people say, oh, what's the big deal? Let us not worry about that. We have more important things to worry about. And I said, but what? This is a potential wasting of government money on Tahoes that they didn't need, right? And y'all say, oh, no, let's not worry about that. It's the bigger picture. If you have people able to redirect money in government ministers and spend on things and buy things, and then there's no rules on how they can use those things, right? Increasing insurance policies, misusing them, additional wear and tear on these vehicles. If y'all don't think that that's an important issue, how do you expect to rein them in on anything else? It's like the brain has a way, in my opinion, for some people, of not being able to connect the dots. Why it's important to enforce, especially with elected officials, because we hold them to a higher standard. They're supposed to be accountable to the people when it comes to spending the people's money, et cetera, et cetera. I find it shocking and unbelievable that people don't see the importance of having standards, right? So when they want to misuse your money in other ways, what's going to stop them? Because they've already gotten away with it with the use of a vehicle. They don't follow rules with the use of a vehicle. What else are they potentially abusing and not using properly? People just, it's shocking when I see the comments. I'm like, wow, people don't think this is a big deal. They're not, I'm not saying it's the biggest deal in the world, But I'm saying, in fact, it's very, very easy to solve. These are the types of things that you rein in. And you allow elected officials to understand that, number one, you don't get to just jump out and spend the people's money how you want to spend it. It isn't your money, okay? It should have never been allowed. They should have never been allowed to purchase these vehicles in the way that they did, right? The fact that they did, and it was like one person started doing it, and then everybody else fell in line. Minister Bryan basically said he followed suit because everybody else had one. So he was like, well, everybody else is buying one. Why can't I have one too? Hello, caller.
Good morning, Miss Sandy.
Morning.
Yes, ma'am. I'm calling from the bus depot. I'm a bus driver, Miss Sandy.
Morning, dear. How are you?
Yes, ma'am. I'm okay. You?
Not too bad. Not too bad. You heard the complaint about you guys this morning?
Yes, ma'am. That's why I called, ma'am. Miss Sandy?
Yes, sir.
What you guys must realize, this is a public bus station. You understand? There's many people come here with them problem and their knives and whatever and their quarrel and whatever. And you guys are not really you guys still, but why all the time they have to say it's the bus driver? It's not we all the time, Miss Sandy. People come here with them problem as well, We know that the law firm is right here, right? The school at least.
Yeah.
We always try to keep it low. Even sometimes if a bus driver have been on altercation with another bus driver, we try to let them know that calm down. Remember, the law firm is there. So please.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you that it was actually someone from the law school who said that, generally speaking,
yes, but she don't know if it was a bus driver, but just because it's the public bus station, they say it's bus drivers. You don't know.
Well, I mean, she said she walks by there all the time, and you guys are doing it anyway.
It's not. So. Yes, but remember, as what I'm saying, Miss Sandy, remember this is a public bus station, man. You understand? We have people from the east, the north, the south, the west.
Are you aware that the issue has been brought up even to the? I guess there's a public transport person who's supposed to be there in that little booth. That the issue has been raised with them. The issue has been raised with the minister. The issue has been raised by the public transport board.
Listen, whosoever work in that little booth, if they hear an altercation with bus drivers, if they come out and say, look here, cut it out, make it stop. You understand? So we are aware of that. So we don't want child fee. You understand? People come and they have their problems, and you understand, they come out here with the knives. So even if it's not us, they say it's us. Come on, man. 6.5 years.
Hold on. Well, just hold on 1 second, because I am interested in what it is that you're saying in relation to this. So you're saying that non-bus drivers, which the only other people that should be out there would be
I'm not saying none. No, I'm not saying. But I would say like 60% of the time, it's not the bus driver. It's passengers who come with their problem.
Okay. So,
understand?
yes, and I want to ask you about that now, right? So passengers can come and cause a problem at the bus station, and who is controlling the passengers? This is supposed to be a professional spot. So,
Remember now, hello, Miss Sandy, let me explain something to you, man, please. When we get our ID, you know what mark on it? Calm, courteous, and cool.
Calm, courteous, and cool?
Calm, courteous, and cool.
Okay.
So if there's an altercation with passengers, we don't respond to them. We can't say nothing. We cannot take them with them. We can only say, calm down, cool it down. Simple. So it's not everything they want to take and throw up on bus driver, say a bus driver. No, this is a public bus station, ma'am. So it's not everything is us. But why? Because we are the operators out there. We always get the blame, Miss Sandy.
Yeah. But who's responsible then when passengers come and they start acting up, as you say?
We cannot do nothing. Nobody.
Nobody's responsible for that?
We can't say nothing, Miss Sandy. We're operating our bus. If there's a dispatcher inside the bus, inside the little booth here. If he's in there and the other one always come out and calm down the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They do their work. I'm not gonna give them nobody. They do their work. But remember now, they're dispatching 3 set of bus. So you know they have to on their target doing their job. And sometimes the altercation with whosoever, because many times people coming from court and whatever the judge and them have and them come and them start. You understand what we can do, Mr. Sunday? We can't do nothing.
Okay.
So it's not all the time.
So maybe public transport needs to have more oversight at that location. If the bus drivers are not responsible for it, the question becomes, who is it? Is it just the one public transport officer?
Miss Sunday, they cannot do nothing about the public. Remember, this is a public.
No, but that can't be true that you can't do anything about the public. I mean, the public has a responsibility.
It depends on what they want to do, but they have their job to do as well. You understand?
All right. Well, let's take this other caller and see what this caller has to say. Thank you for your input.
Okay, ma. You're welcome, ma.
All right, my dear. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra.
Morning, dear.
Listening to that bus driver, on certain point, he is talking bull.
Oh, okay.
If you go on the plane and a passenger is misbehaving, what happens? If I am operating a bus and a passenger come inside here and is misbehaving, I am gonna tell him to come off my bus. And if you don't, I'm gonna call the police.
Yeah, simple. This is why I'm wondering, like, what's the enforcement protocol for misbehavior?
He should tell the person, come out of my vehicle. If he refuses, he call the police. He is responsible for everything that is taking place on his bus. So, and the music, Sandra, listen, I can tell you, that
was the other thing that this lady mentioned, was a lot of times it's almost like a party.
With the music, it is something general. The music that I hear emanating from vehicles on this island, it doesn't only bother, it is public indecency. You should not be playing your music in your vehicle that I, as a person on the outside, is hearing it. Because that is disturbing the public. Your music should be at the level where you can hear it. It's just like you having a party. If the music is too loud in the community, they'll call the police and the police will come by and say, listen, you need to turn it down. It's the same thing with your private vehicle.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you, caller. All right. Well, it seems like it requires some attention. So I don't know. Somebody says the public transport people are useless. This commentator says this caller is absolutely correct. PTU is useless. What are the police for? You said it earlier. People, uneducated and ignorant people. Good morning, caller.
Miss Sandy?
Yes.
That gentleman just called. Miss Sandy, you know better. The conversation we were having, it wasn't about inside the bus. Correct him, please. Remember what you said? It was a bus depot.
Yeah.
You understand? So you should have corrected. It's not about inside the bus, because even if I'm driving my bus and sometimes some of the guys then come and them playing something when they play upon them phone, stop them. So correct him, please. This is about at the public transport bus station.
Well, I guess his
you
point,
should have corrected him.
Yes, I mean, I guess his point is it spills over into the bus. But when an altercation happens in your bus, you guys are responsible for that.
That's total. Saying. No. We know how to deal with that. Not inside the bus. This is about, as well, the caller before him, whoever say, it was at the bus depot. Thank you, Mama. Have a good day.
All right. Yes, I mean, they're obviously two different things. So he's saying, yes, if it's in the bus, then they can do something. This one person on WhatsApp says, is this bus driver speaking for himself? Because when you're passing Eastern Avenue by Flow, the noise, the music, and the road literally to drive into Flow be blocked. Now I understand why Flow has to put up a chain. For people that live behind the Flow building on Eastern Avenue, can barely enter because of the bus driver's congestion blocking up, and they have no respect for people on the road. Somebody else says, morning, most of these bus drivers are also predators. Oh, Lord, have mercy. What a conundrum. Inspector not doing their work, that is a lie. The inspector being the person, the PTU, public transport unit inspector. Another person says, good morning, Sandy. It is them. This person says it's them, the bus drivers, because I was dropping my daughter to a class in the library a while back, and those bus drivers and car wash Jamaican guys sound like Coronation Market. What a heat. Morning, caller.
Morning.
Good morning, dear.
Can they not, or can they not have a security guard station there? Like,
I mean, I don't see why not. And this again is a matter for the PTU unit, which falls under the Ministry of Minister of Tourism and Port. No. PTU is now, they've changed it up so many times. My apologies. I think public transportation is now J.E. Banks. So if Minister J is listening and the public transportation unit is listening, I think it's fair to say.
An easy solve.
Yeah.
Just put a security guard out there.
Yeah, y'all need to do something. Thank you,
because
Carl.
I do think it's unfair to ask the bus drivers or even the dispatcher to control the public behavior. Just have a security guard there.
How about policing themselves? Because what people are saying, I mean, this woman saying she was dropping her daughter off to the library, and she said it's the bus drivers. So maybe they're not capable of policing themselves into being good and respectful and whatever. And maybe somebody else needs to be there doing it for them.
Yeah, I think a security guard might solve some of the problems. I guess maybe.
Yeah. All right, my dear. Thank you. Thanks. Damien says, which passengers always give the problems? From where? Cayman Kind. Good morning. Miss Morna says, where's the Caymanian bus drivers to call in on this behalf? I don't know. Somebody calling my personal number. Let's see now. Good morning. Oh. Let me see. If they were trying to call the show, you got to call 936-2626. I wasn't sure if they were trying to call the show. What a mess, child. Clearly, something needs to happen out there. Call clean up the mess. Good morning, caller.
It's Sunday morning. I was trying to call the show, but
yes.
Mm-hmm. In regard to the bus drivers, right? Mm-hmm. Several times on the street, and when they stop, and for them to come back into the lane, they just put on the indicator and they just come out at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's a terrible situation with them.
Yeah. I think they're giving themselves a bad name, and I don't know if they don't realize it or not. But generally speaking, people are not respecting bus drivers because of how they drive in the public roads. And now this complaint.
And it's all because of them. It's their fault.
Yeah.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
In regard to them making noise at the bus park, I've witnessed it a few times. And
you've witnessed it yourself?
Yeah, man. Several times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
They need to do it better.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. All right, my dear. I mean, bus drivers, listen, if you guys are listening this morning, don't get defensive. Maybe say we need to adjust our behavior because the public is sick and tired of being sick and tired about our bad behavior. Pat says, even in public spaces, there's a protocol for behavior. I would say, especially in public places, there's a protocol for behavior. In your own home, if you want to walk around being rude and whatever, I guess up to a certain point you can do that if you're not breaking certain laws. But when you're in public, we all have to share public spaces. We all have to share bus stops. We all have to walk by them. And, all sorts of behavior that happens in public shouldn't be happening in public. Anthony says, I'm sure the bus operators are clearly marked with blue uniforms, so persons walking by them can clearly see who's who. Get him off the radio. So he's not believing that one. What a hot mess. Let me see. Leroy says some of these bus drivers park up at bars when they're ready and driving under the influence, they need a breathalyzer test. Wow. Mona says, Sandy, ask him if there are any Caymanian bus drivers out there to speak on this topic. I guess if they're listening, they're free to call in. Siobhan says, I'm here fully. Was getting breakfast. All right. Leroy Damien says, maybe in certain countries that's the norm at public profanity and bad behavior. Well, again, as I said yesterday, I find it peculiar how Caymanians and people who become Caymanians and want to live in this society because of all of the things that they appreciate about us here, want to then come here and bring bad behavior from wherever they're coming. That doesn't make any sense. I thought y'all came here because you came here and saw something different that you liked. And I don't mean just a dollar bill that was different. Y'all understand what I'm saying? What a hot mess. Negra Pula, good morning, says what government needs to do is buy their own bus instead of this private owned buses and make sure they do the routes and follow rules. Simple. Each other country has reliable bus and people are not suffering. And I think that was on the table of discussion about, does government take on? It's a liability for sure. And you have to figure out, how it's going to work. Because, of course, one of the concerns would be that government would be taken on a non-profitable entity. So in other words, they provide the buses. It becomes, I guess, just like any other agency. They own the buses. The bus drivers become employees of government, subject to disciplinary action, subject to being fired. Government is then responsible for the maintenance and upkeep and everything of the buses, and they would charge a bus fare and they would set the routes and all that sort of stuff. And of course, when someone works for you, it is a very different situation as opposed to them being self-employed, where they may feel like, some people when they're self-employed, they feel like they can do anything, which isn't really the case either, but they feel that way. Or Urban Thread says, also, I want to say that I'm disappointed in Jake Scott Cayman and the Cayman Islands Airport Authority in regards to hiring young Caymanians. In the past week, I've heard that 2 stories of young Caymanians complaining that they're able to get jobs because the company would rather decide to hire an expat. I think you might complain that they can't get jobs. Also, one of the young Caymanians stated that they were forced to resign. This is awful to hear, as we need an immigration reform now. Cayman is not for Caymanians anymore. Well, not knowing anything about this situation, I can't comment on it. I don't know what Jake Scott is doing from what they're not doing. Just like I don't know what CIAA is doing in terms of hiring Caymanians or not. So it can be challenging when you want to talk about specific situations, or, you heard 2 people complaining, but then I say, well, how many people does Jake Scott employ? You're always going to have people complaining about something. So I don't know. Damien says, Pula, that was the plan 3+ years ago and it just faded away. Well, yes, I think under the previous minister, Mr. Kenneth Bryan, he was traveling overseas and looking at bus systems. I think one of the concerns, though, is that the systems that he was looking at would have been, the buses themselves were too big for Cayman. Like, it wasn't really making sense from that perspective. But he was at least looking at something, trying to come up with the ministry with some sort of a solution that could be viable. And then there was the whole shifting around of ministries. And I must say that it has been awfully quiet lately. We've heard nothing from the Ministry of Transport about whether or not they're still looking into it. Are they still investigating a plan? Nothing, no movement with public transportation, as with so many other issues, unfortunately, under this government. Soka, good morning, says, same thing I was saying. It was not about being inside the bus, inside any bus. Yeah, so there were obviously two very, very different things being said there. And to the credit of the bus driver, the complaint, which I started talking about, was actually at the bus depot itself, not inside the buses. Cayman Kind says, if loud music is being played while passengers are on board, record it and report it. Damien says, do they have signs with email and phone numbers on all buses to report it? I don't know. That's a very good question, because again, I don't know what standards they are from one bus to the next. And this is where one thing for sure is that if you have government, operating the show, then without a doubt, those types of things would be standard protocol. When you don't have government doing it, only God knows. No standards whatsoever. So I don't know if there's standard signage inside these buses or not. Morning, KK. Gabby says it's the bus driver, Sandy, because to be honest, they be rude at times as well. Listen, I think that it's fair to say that the bus drivers this morning should be on alert that people obviously are not happy with your behavior at the bus depot. Take it or leave it, but I would suggest y'all take it, because the truth of the matter is, by the time stuff reaches me in terms of a complaint, that means it's gone too far, honey child. Speaking of things that have gone too far, the port, let me talk about this for a second. Yesterday, we were talking about the lack of common decency, human decency, with some men in particular wanting to go and use bathroom facilities anywhere that they can because it's easier for them to do so. And so one person said, as a bus driver at the port now, that they often wish that they were a man and that they could just whip it out and use the bathroom, because there's a situation there where unfortunately the bathrooms have been closed off for quite some time now, and there's no access to the bathrooms in the main port area. You have to go all the way over to the north terminal, which is all the way down by what's the restaurant that was down on that end? Hard Rock Cafe, in order to use the bathroom. So the Port Authority has closed off the bathroom for everyone. And so the bus drivers who park in that area and who are in that area have no bathroom facility to be able to use. And there's no real explanation given, except they claim that they thought that one man who's out there selling coconuts or something might have been abusing the bathrooms. So you're going to make everybody, including passengers getting off of the boats, the cruises, and all the bus drivers and everybody else in that area suffer because one man might have been doing something that you're not even sure if he was actually doing. It's one of the more ridiculous things that I've heard in quite some time. So these people have said to me, Port Authority, again, board, the port board and the port administration and whoever's in charge of port security, you should not be able to close off a bathroom like that. If there's a public bathroom there, it was put there for a reason, and it should therefore be open. I hope the minister is listening today, because I was really shocked to hear that this was even being permitted, and it's gone on for quite some time and nobody has done anything about it. Open up the bathroom. You see, that's the kind of thing. I mean, you don't want to sue government for everything, but this is the kind of egregious behavior now, right? Where they think they can just close a public restroom for use. It was put there for that reason. And there's nobody that you can report it to. There's no accountability. I don't know if the board themselves think that that kind of behavior is okay. And they've allowed, because they have to know what's going on, they have allowed the administrators to close the bathroom facility. Y'all need to open it up. And sometimes you got to just send people a little email and a little challenge to say, if you guys are making a decision that is detrimentally affecting the public and the drivers in that area, and if you don't change it, we're going to seek legal advice on the matter. Now, it might seem like a small thing, but again, when you're there half the day and you need to go to the bathroom, you can impact your bladder and you can get STIs and all sorts of things if you're holding it for too long. So following up on yesterday's conversation, there are public facilities available. People should be able to use them. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sunday.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
Good. Not too bad.
You pretty good?
Yes, sir.
Right. What you are discussing and saying now, that is exactly the true position that Cayman is in right now. That's the true position that we're in. A little thing additional to what you said about the port authority. I used to be tour guide and bus driver and everything. They're taking tours and so on. Until this day, as far as I know, you have cruise ships coming in. At that time, there were 6-7 cruise ships a day. Now, why in the world that they don't have some sort of a medical nurse or something there with a little station there in case anything happens to anybody? It's right there. You got to bring an ambulance and take them to the hospital. Look at least I can say my friend Lou George Ebanks, he passed through in the dock. Okay? If it had been someone there that was stationary, it might have saved his life. Not to mention the thousands of people that enter this dock on a daily basis or a weekly basis. What happens? If you get those people that are seriously sick, you got to call the ambulance through the traffic to take them to the hospital? I mean, it's absolutely...
if they're serious, they still got to go to the hospital in any event. But I take your point that a little medical station there might not be a bad idea.
Well, it's not a bad idea. I think it's a good idea. But what I will say additional on about the bus drivers. The bus drivers should be qualified, not just on paper and pen, but it should be established that you have to be of a certain character to be a bus driver, whether you are with a tour company or whether you're public transportation, because anything really goes in Cayman. Anything goes in Cayman now, and nobody seems to be having the guts or the morality to say this is not good enough. When you get people to this island in boarding those buses, it can be disgusting. Sometimes nothing is being done. Anything is good enough for what we say here. So the quality of life here right now, I am sorry, it is not good. And you got all of these people in position, in authority that do nothing except wait till the next election. Where are we going to get people to represent us with a little bit of character, a little bit of quality? What's going on this island? You know, I have talked until I weak, and the people, they want things done, but they don't have balls, the guts to get up and say, look, you guys you're elected, this is not good enough. We got visitors here, we got local people about the music. I can remember years ago you had Mr. Curtis Barnett. Sunday from, I think it was from 6 till 7 or 6 till 8, 2 hours in the afternoon. It was nothing but classical, easy listening music. It cools your brain down, it's good for the whole environment, and nobody seems to just throw that out the window from Radio Cayman. All you can hear is the bum bum and the ya ya and all kind of stuff. What's going on here? Tell me, please. It's not good, but anyway, that's my little piece, whatever it means. But I'm just a voice crying in the wilderness like John the Baptist, okay?
Thank you so much, my dear. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So I think the general consensus is, maybe I'll put this as a poll question on the WhatsApp channel, but the general consensus is that you bus drivers need to do better. Listen, here I'm going to read y'all some of the comments. Miss Blair, beautiful Blair, says the mentality of people who avoid all of these responsibilities are crazy. Be decent. The way people defend bad driving and bad behavior is ridiculous. The majority of comments under these types of stories are defending it. It shows how immature these people are. It's like we're seeing the deterioration of our society through these comments. It's so heartbreaking. That was an earlier comment going back to, a lot of the stuff that we see on social media. And Blair, I agree with you. I mean, I read them and sometimes all I can do is shake my head. From people defending public urination, which is actually a crime, to people defending, government ministers using using government-owned vehicles like they own them. I mean, it is absolutely shocking. So, I mean, let's have a little bit of standards here, folks. All right. Anthony says, what's the difference between an MP visiting and supporting a small business, or what for a small business for his or her lunch in his constituency and going to Cayman Bay for lunch, where there is numerous bars and restaurants? Is it because it's local? I don't hear anyone complaining about government vehicles at Cayman Bay. Kiss my teeth. Well, I think you're missing the forest for the trees, Anthony. The point isn't even about the bar, because we can't say that whoever was driving, whichever minister was driving that vehicle, was actually inside in the bar. They were obviously, the photo was taken of them sitting, so they could have been waiting on lunch to come out. They could have been sitting there for other reasons. The issue that the person who sent the photo said, why are we allowing government ministers to sit in a government car smoking? Right? That deteriorates the value of these vehicles. And it opens up the broader question of what else ministers are permitted to do with these government-owned vehicles that they're driving around as their private cars. They shouldn't be driving them around as private cars. That's the whole thing. Let's just be very crystal clear about the situation here. It shouldn't be allowed. They should have their own personal vehicles. If they're not out on government business, don't drive a government vehicle. What are you driving a government vehicle for? And I don't know, Anthony, why that's so difficult to understand. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you doing today?
Good morning. And one more quick thing, Anthony. Your point about Cayman Bay, it doesn't matter where they are. The issue is they shouldn't be driving government vehicles in personal time. So even if they're at Cayman Bay, if they're on their own personal lunch or whatever, no government vehicle. You make enough money to be able to afford a car of your own, and that comes with the insurance, the wear and tear, and everything else that comes with driving your own vehicle. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Sandra. Hello again.
Morning.
All right, you got that out. Wonderful. Sandra, as pertains to the subject matter that you're talking about right now, this has been a recurring issue. In addition to ministers and that ball of wax there, it's also been an issue over the years with people within the civil service with private vehicles using for their own purposes. And thus far, I have not seen it, or I don't think anybody has seen it addressed in a real way. So it's the problem extends beyond simply the ministers themselves. Mm-hmm. I'd just like to point that out, yes. Which should be something we should be observed as an overall problem. And and I don't know if you remember the abuse of the government gas station and so on. As it pertains to the quote unquote bus drivers that we have here, minibus drivers, whatever you want to call it. Look, everybody in Cayman has seen this. I know I personally see it every single time I get on the road. Mm-hmm. You have these folks who will pull over in the most dangerous way when there's somebody on the side of the road. Mm-hmm. They'll leave 2/3 to 3/4 of their car out in the roadway traffic. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as the individual gets into the vehicle, into the jitney bus, then they will force themselves out. Bad corners, you see them turning off of the road on bare bad corners like that one right after There's so many places, but I've seen them right at bad corners, right around blind corners. They will be right there, and they don't seem to care about the issues that they are creating. Another example is the overtaking at high speed in order for them to get back into Georgetown or wherever so they can make a little bit more money, putting everybody at risk, oncoming traffic and the people who they are overtaking, even when you're doing the very speed limit itself.
Mm-hmm.
And the last example I'm going to give is this, which is, once again, very egregious. The lanes, and this was a subject matter in the past, the lanes right there, you know, at Tall Tree gas station and at Wendy's right there in Savannah have been changed now. So coming from east to west, there's no longer those two lanes because they have changed it to allow for that turnoff into the post office. That has created a bottleneck, and it's at that same spot where folks will gather up to catch the public bus, and they effectively block off the traffic completely, the public bus drivers, by stopping there. Now, that issue itself is going to end up with some kind of road rage or a very bad accident sooner than later, because you have the people coming out of countryside trying to go back to the west, coming in there, trying to merge. You have the people who are trying to go from east to west. That alone itself creates a constriction point. And then you have these bus drivers who will stop right there. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The relevant authorities need to disallow the bus drivers from stopping there. They need to have a place that is not obstructing the traffic just for their operation and their lack of care of the well-being and the safety of everybody else. Do you know the specific area I'm trying to mention here, Sandra? They're basically right next to where you would see the drive-through part for Wendy's in Savannah.
Yes.
It literally block off all of the traffic when they stop, and they don't give a damn about what they're doing to other people. Right? There are multiple, me personally, I can't tell you about the behavior in the buses. I can't tell you about the behavior at the depot in town. I can't speak to that. I'm not going to try.
Yes. All right.
But on the road, you can see the lack of concern. And the gentleman who called before said something about calm, courteous, and cool. Yeah. I don't know about calm, but they damn sure don't got nothing called courteous. And as it pertains to cool, that might just be your own damn head. Okay? Because that's about all it is in reality. Anyway, these people need to try to do better. Yes, we can say that. They may try to do better. No. People need to make them do better. The relevant authorities need to demand that they do better. That's the problem. We keep asking people to do better. No. We need it to be forced on them.
Well, I mean, that is why the PTU is there. So ultimately, these complaints that we have should be directed at the PTU as well, in large part. Thank you, Jonathan.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks very much. And let me correct myself. Some of you caught it. Thank you so much. I didn't mean to say STIs at all. I meant to say UTIs. So you don't get an STI, which is a sexually transmitted infection. You don't get that from not going to the bathroom, from holding it for too long. You are more likely to get a UTI, which is a urinary tract infection. So my apologies. I had a little bit of a slip of the tongue, but some of you picked up on it. One person says, you got me laughing out in my office when you said STIs from holding your piss. I'm going to the bathroom now, LMAO. So not, yes, I'm sorry. UTIs. Y'all know what it is. What a hot mess. That's when the brain and the mouth moving at two different speeds. Andrew, good morning. So listen, once again, I want to say that the vast majority of the comments, pay attention, bus drivers. The vast majority of the comments, pay attention, PTU, is that you guys need to get it together. Natasha says a reliable public transport system would be money well spent, better spent than on a $50 million school Child, where's that kaboom?
Kaboom!
$8 million housing and a cruise port referendum. Jason asking the question, why doesn't the government own public transport? Jason also says, I've worked for Jake Scott, and that's not true. I have many Caymanian friends that work there. Like I said, I've never heard Jake Scott's name called up in anything egregious when it comes to hiring of Caymanians. Not to say there might not be a one-off situation, but normally what you find with those one-off situations is you need to look at the employee. They don't want to come to work and do what they're supposed to do. And then the first thing they're going to jump on is, oh, it's because I'm Caymanian, when normally that's not the case. And y'all should know by now, I'm not giving Caymanians no bly for bad behavior. I don't care if you're a Caymanian, quite frankly. In fact, you insult me even more being a bad Caymanian, not doing the right thing. Cassius says, y'all believe just because you slap a piece of paper in somebody's hand saying that you are now Caymanian, that they're going to drop their ways. Yeah, good luck with that one. Miss Shirley says something is about to erupt. Auntie Sandy, I have something to share with you. And this is facts. This story would last for the rest of the year. Oh, Lord. A senior citizen gave the power of attorney to an MP to act on his behalf. And that MP went behind his back and put his name on the gentleman's land title. Lord, when are y'all going to learn? This MP was summoned by a lawyer to remove his name. Auntie, I have facts. Sus. Well, bring it forward. Bring the documents. Let's see. Live Happy says to that comment that proves that a piece of paper can't make one a Caymanian or any nationality, attitudes and customs will not change. Simple C says, hold on one second. Hello, good morning. If you're trying to call the show number is 936-2626. Oh, you guys see me here doing this. You're all like, what the heck is Sandy doing? I think it was last year, December, I discovered these devices. I forgot that I had it till I was digging through a drawer, uncluttering, decluttering. And I remembered, oh my gosh, I should use this for my pain. They're kind of like cupping suction cups. Except they're electrical in nature. If you've ever had cupping, I went the other day and had cupping done when I went to the acupuncturist. You'll see the wounds like where they put the suction cup. But this basically does a similar thing to that same concept, and it's supposed to help with pain management. So it does have heat, which for what I'm having here, the heat is very, very important. Hi, caller. Are you trying to call the show? 936-2626. Mm-hmm. You need to, call the show, honey. 936-2626. Yes, ma'am. All right. So I can tell you that these things work. I mean, they don't stay on for very long because they have a timer on it. So that's why I keep turning it back on. But already my shoulder feeling a lot better just from using this morning. I'd forgotten all about it. So I turn it up all the way to the highest number, which is 7 because of the kind of pain I'm in. All right. And then basically, you see the little heat nodules there? You just stick it on you. And it sticks on there because it suctions on. And I'm telling y'all, it works. If you have chronic pain, try it. I have a few still in the box. If you want one, let me know. All right. Now I say that there's a person who always wants everything Auntie's got. I know that person will be messaging me here shortly saying, I need one too. That's fine. Romaine says, I need a degree to be a bus driver now, I guess, old buddy. No, it's not a degree. It's just common courtesy. It's like, making sure that your parents is respectful. Your mannerisms are respectful. Your speech is respectful, right? It's professionalism on the job. That doesn't require a degree. It doesn't require a degree to not know that loud, inappropriate bangarang music isn't right. Yelling and screaming down the place isn't right. That doesn't require a degree. It's sad that you might think that it does because, maybe we need to do some more training. Uh-oh, we got a lot of feedback on this caller.
Oh, sorry. This time you call one of the inspectors and ask them some questions.
Okay. What questions?
Okay.
This is the PTU inspectors?
Yes.
Yeah, what questions would you like us to ask them?
What about the bus system on the road?
You mean about all the complaints?
And all of those stuff, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Another person says they do it all the time, especially the Jamaicans. They act as if they're downtown and halfway tree. And that's coming from a Jamaican themselves, honey child. All right. So lots of comments coming in. Listen, it is fair to say that at the end of the day, you can believe if there's this many people complaining about it, it's a problem. I'm just saying it's a problem. All right. Just take my word for it. Y'all need to shape up. All right, so let me see here now. Hold on one second, honey child. Can I please get one? I'm having surgery in 5 weeks' time for torn ligaments in my shoulder. Well, you got to be. I would just caution you to be a little bit careful. Make sure that you okay it with your doctor first, honey child, because I don't want you to be tearing nothing more. If you got torn ligaments, I don't want you making it worse. If you know what I mean. But yes, they work. I'm telling you. Somehow my phone didn't charge last night. All right, they work. I guess it's kind of like getting a massage, but it's like concentrated in one area. And all right. So Gabby says they think that spot they own, but they fail to realize that it's a public area. My sister, Kasia says, has complained to PTU about the nasty comments the drivers have made to her whenever she goes to Flow, a bunch of animals. Oh my gosh. Yeah, all the cat calling and the hissing and all that kind of stuff. Even to that has to be improved. So listen, I have to wonder, how the tourism, folks, they get some training as it relates to like customer service and how to deal with customers. Do the bus drivers have that available to them? Let me see here now. Doesn't look like we're going to get to our sex topic today, but we'll do that one tomorrow. That's not a big deal. We go with the flow, honey shell. Public transport unit. You think anybody would answer the phone over there? Who's head of the public transport unit? Who's the head guy over there again? I'm trying to remember. All right, let's see if we can give him a call. Sometimes they don't like to answer the phone, honey child, but let us try and see. 946-1323. Let's see. That reminds me, I gotta pay my flow bill. Can't get a toll-free number on now. Well, you know what they say. You can't get any answers if nobody answers the phone.
Good morning. Thanks for calling public transport. How may I help?
Hi, good morning. Sandra Hill here from Cayman Mall Road. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Miss Sandra?
I'm not too bad. We're live on radio, just FYI. I'm just trying to figure out who would be the best person to speak to get some questions answered about the bus depot.
About the bus depot?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you can email us at cayman.transport@gov.ky. You can put any questions or any concerns that you may have, and we can answer them for you.
All right. So it's cayman.transport
transport@gov.ky.
At gov.ky.
Yes,
and Okay, because we have a lot of questions like how do people make complaints? Do buses have inside the buses like a complaint number that's visible?
I would recommend, yes, ma'am. So you could just put everything in that email, and then we can answer all your questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Have a good day. All right.
You too. All right, dear.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. So we'll shoot them over some questions by email. Nobody ever wants to go on the radio and answer them live. So, all right. KK says, Jay, business about them. PTU control taxi drivers, public bus operators, and school buses, but they are careless. And yesterday, somebody else brought up about the school buses, the fact that the school buses are driving at high speed and nothing is being done about that, putting children's lives at risk. Good morning, caller. And that falls under public transport as well? What a hot mess.
Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, dear. How you doing?
How are you today?
Not bad.
Morning to the public.
Good morning.
And all the good. Sandra, I think you're trying to find out if there's something in place or some type of training for bus drivers and taxi drivers. Yeah, we do have a program called Pride. And it means personal responsibility and delivering excellence.
Okay, so you guys do the Pride training. I was kind of wondering.
Yeah, we all do that. It's some people take it and some don't. They just do it because they want to get the license. And,
right.
Is
there? Let me ask you a question with the Pride testing. Is there any sort of little exam or anything to make sure you've understood the concepts that have been taught to you? Is there like role playing and?
Yeah, definitely. And we get certified. Like you get a little certificate when you pass.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but you say basically it's a rubber stamping. It's a rubber stamping exercise, though.
Yeah, it's a real good program because you learn a lot and it teaches you like how to conduct. Because if you notice, the P is for personal. It has to be personal responsibility. PRIDE. Personal responsibility in delivering excellence. If everybody take that serious, we will not have a problem. So, I just thought I should let you know that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
All right, dear. Thanks very much. So that answers that question at least. That's good. Live Happy says it's the loud derogatory music played by these bus drivers that bothers me. Cassius says we have devalued Cayman citizenship by giving it away like candy. So no surprise that many who get it see it as nothing more than a work permit waiver, nothing else. Well, yes. I mean, Cassius, and that's why, even the marriages of convenience, which devalue it even further, are, such a concern. I would think that when someone is on their fourth and fifth marriage, and they all are targeting expats to get married to, say, by way of an example, the Jamaican community, I would think by number 4 and 5, that the authorities have got to say, listen here now, you can get married. We can't stop you from entering into marriage. That's on you. But what we will not do is actually, what we will not do is allow you to get any sort of papers, or your spouse to get papers off of said marriage. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I see a number of you messaging me to see if I can give you one of these things. I'll see how many I have. I know I have a few. I do have a few. Y'all are lucky. Some areas it's a little bit harder to get the suction on, I must tell you. Oh yeah. Oh God. All right, let's try it right there. All right. So yes, what a hot mess. We do need to listen. That's the most valuable thing that we have to offer anybody in this country, and I think that we need to make the application process a little bit more rigorous and stop allowing abuses of the system. Liana says, us Caymanians need to put government and minimum wage, and then you'll see how fast things change, including who's going to run. Trust me. Cassius says the public transport system needs a complete overhaul, from the drivers being replaced with people who don't have the dog-eat-dog mentality to the business model that is currently being deployed. Don't think anybody can argue with that, honey, Jill. What a mess. Those of you who are in favor of immigration reform, I wonder if you've thought about exactly what shape and form that would take, and if you want them to crack down on these marriages of convenience. Because remember now, it's Caymanians who are participating in that. So half of the problem are the Caymanians who are allowing it to happen. I'm just saying. All right, so somebody reminded me of who the head of the public transport unit is. All right, maybe we'll copy him in on the email as well. Damien says, so I must put my phone on the bus driver's ID and take a picture, then I can't take the bus anymore. So I guess somebody was telling him that there's not a readily available sign. Every bus should have a sign inside. Complaints or comments or feedback or however you want to word it, email address and a phone number. Sujit says, just the other day, an MP gobbled up a few trucks of government trucks carrying stones or whatever to fill up his personal shallow, muddy lands. Where does it stop? When you say gobbled up a few government trucks, what do you mean by that? Like he purchased government trucks at an auction or what? Leroy says a company or government vehicle should be parked not doing official business. Abby says, I thought that the driving in Florida was crazy, but Cayman is another level with the rigamajigs. Got to do what you got to do, I guess. Jennifer was saying that accident earlier was a whole axle that had broken off the truck. The tire was completely off. Oh, wow. What a hot mess. Priscilla says, remove owing and purchasing land for the PR rights. So what are you going to replace it with? Because, I mean, if we're going to keep the PR system, you have to be able to get points somehow. So if land ownership and property ownership doesn't get you PR, what you're then creating are people who have nothing here who'd be getting PR. Are you sure that's what you want? Who can't even get a little piece of land? I think you might want to rethink that one, Priscilla. That's a double-edged sword in more ways than one. Urban Thread said, I consider a Caymanian a generational Caymanian. You may consider that, but let me be very, very clear what the law says. And I think in this regard, the law is actually right. As a Caymanian, let me try to explain this to you guys now. Let me see if this makes any sense. As a Caymanian, I understand what we mean by generational Caymanian. I understand how and why we see someone who is like, you know, they're multiple generations and say they're Caymanians. I don't know how far y'all want to go back because some of y'all get ridiculous. You'd be like, oh, well, you know, my last name is a McTaggart, so therefore I'm 8 generations. You only can find 5 generations. And it's like, what? I don't know how far back we're going to go with acknowledging our Caymanianism. But at the same time, when someone becomes a Caymanian, even with that piece of paper, it's like when you become an American, right? If you went through all the steps and you become an American citizen, you're entitled to every lawful right as any other American citizen. And to be fair, people are not going around saying to you, oh, you're, well, other than Trump, let's ignore Trump, but other than him and his birther people, you know, nobody else is going around saying you're not an American. You know what I mean? So in law, I mean, in your head, you can say whatever you want about what you think about what a Caymanian is. But in law, there can't be 2 sets of Caymanians once you are a status holder. And I think that is where y'all need to understand, because sometimes y'all call me and you're like, oh, this person not Caymanian, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, somebody sent something the other day about, oh, they're setting up a group for indigenous Caymanians only. I think that type of thinking and doing things like that is going to divide us even more than we're already divided. And I'm not for the division. I want y'all to understand me very, very clear. I'm not for the division. If someone has done the right things and they've gotten their Cayman PR and status in the right way, I think that we should be welcoming and we should accept them. The question for me becomes who we're accepting, how easy that process is, right? And how that process is subject to abuse by our own people. Because it is our own people who are allowing this nonsense to happen when it comes to people getting residency, rights to work, RERC, and then having the entitlement to become Caymanians way too easy. So that's a problem. Damien says that many people also transfer land to another for PR. And once they get it transferred, they transfer it back to the original owner. Well, let me be clear about that type of, again, that's the wrong way to do it. That type of shenanigan, when you are using land for the purposes of PR, number one, it should have been in your name, in my opinion, for at least a period of time. Now, how long that's going to be, we can decide. Is it 12 months? Is it 24 months? Because you've been here a minute now before you apply for PR. And also, here now, where it begins to make a little bit more sense, there should be a further restriction in place that if you have property and you've used that to get your permanent residency, right, you should not be able to divest that property to anybody else for a period of 5 years, because that's a benefit. You use it to gain a benefit in this country. It's just like when people go now and they get, they tap into their pension and you use that to purchase a piece of land. There's a 5-year limit on you can't do anything with that property for at least 5 years after you've used your pension to get it. So you can't sell it, you can't transfer it. So put this same thing in place, and that might be an easy fix. Blair says somebody start a bad bus driver Instagram post the bad drive behavior. Well, you know, a lot of times we do get them, and we'll post it up if we get it. The problem is some of you take pictures, and a picture doesn't say. A picture now speaks about 100 words, whereas a video speaks 1,000 words. So send your video evidence, folks. Darlene says, just give away the whole Cayman Islands and done with it. That will kill the arguments dead. Oh my God. Urban says, I wonder if Caymanians realize that their kids will never get to enjoy Cayman, or the government keeps going, if the government keeps going on with the foolishness they are doing. Shaka Zulu says, yes, except run for the highest position of the land, which is president. Yeah, I think there's some, I'm trying to remember if there's some other federal jobs that might have a restriction. I think there are, Shaka Zulu, where you have to be a born American citizen, which again, it happens a lot because that's why people are running over the border. Natasha says the House requirement works, but government should be following up. As many, as soon as they receive PR and status, they sell the house for the one, which they can afford, and banks and some employers are in cahoots, lending the short-term loans to fulfill the requirement. So yeah, I think, listen, we gotta tighten it up a little bit in terms of that. Priscilla says, I think allowing the purchase of land to obtain PR created the rise in cost of land and homes, but I stand corrected. Well, truth be told, there's a lot of lands and homes out there for sale that PR holders are not purchasing. I think what you have happening, quite frankly, is greed. It's just human greed. And Caymanians are included in that equation. So you show me one Caymanian who's willing to sell their homes or land to Caymanians only. They're going to just sell it to the highest bidder. So I do chuckle when Caymanians say to me, they complain about this. Because I say, really? I said, okay, let's play this game then, shall we? Show me the Caymanian who will take the position that they will never sell anything to an expat, and they'll only sell it to a Caymanian. So we can't have it both ways. This is a problem. It's either, but it can't be both. Kasia says many people themselves who receive status don't view themselves as Caymanians, as bad as their home country might be, they never turn their back on home. And again, Cassius, we're all human beings. So let me ask you a question, right? If you were living overseas and, after 20, 30 years, you become an American, as an example, or you go to the UK and you get, the UK is probably not the best example, but say the United States of America. Do you not still consider yourself a Caymanian and Cayman is home if you grew up here and you were born here in your formative years? Most people would say yes. So to me, that really isn't the issue about where you identify as this is, as Caymanians would say, this is where my navel string was buried. That's different, right? I was thinking of Richard Parson and his mummy. She was 102 years old. And they sent the video clip, both of them saying, hashtag I am Caymanian. I'm sure she's lived in Texas for many, 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 many years, right? Probably at least half of her life. And she still identifies as a Caymanian. We're humans. That's most of us are proud from where we come from. However, the difference for me isn't about whether or not you still identify as an American, Jamaican, Honduran, or whatever. It's about, you have to understand that this is the Cayman Islands. We do certain things here differently. And you can't just have it for the benefit of the things that benefit you. So you can't just be all about complete selfishness. And I'm only when I have to get a scholarship or whatever, then I'm a Caymanian. And every other time I'm going to act like I'm, straight from wherever I'm from. So that to me is the difference. And again, I can also understand how it would be challenging and it would be difficult to fully integrate, especially when you come as an older adult. You're still gonna listen. You can't tell no Jamaican who came here as a 25, 30-year-old that their food isn't the best food in the world. They're gonna be like acting. They're gonna be like, y'all want to eat turtle? Most Jamaicans not into the turtle business. They might want to eat your stew conch. There's certain things that they're just not going to adopt. And you have to understand that when you invite people here, their mentality is not going to change just because they're getting permanent residency after 5, 6 years or whatever it is. I think we need to also be a little bit more realistic about what's happening. And if it is that we want people to adjust their behaviors when they come to our shores, we also need to make that crystal clear to them as well. I'm just saying it is a little bit more complicated sometimes. I think that, we want to make it be, I guess. RMR says, as Caymanians, we need to start educating yourselves. Reading is great. Try reading your Constitution. It is free online and will provide clarity. Mm-hmm. Andrew says 40 years ago, there was a moratorium on Cayman status and you had to publish your photo in the newspaper. Way too easy today. Well, the moratorium is one thing, but the publishing of it, I kind of wonder how many back in the day, and this is an interesting question that I certainly can't answer, but I kind of wonder how many bad seeds, if you will, that actually prevented from coming in to the country because people knew who was applying. I mean, I wouldn't mind it because, although I think it would open up a lot of floodgates for people to make all sorts of unfounded complaints about people, it would still be interesting to see how that would apply in this day and age. And you can't make complaints about people that is not, based on some sort of foundation and something that you can prove. So Live Happy says to the comment, other nationalities come here and have set up their own groups already. This has already been started by the expats. Okay, Live Happy. When you go to Miami, to university, what's the first thing Caymanians do? They find other Caymanians. First thing Jamaicans do, they find other Jamaicans or if they can't find Jamaicans, because Caymanians back in the day, there was not a whole lot of us there. they would find other Caribbean people that they could flex and line with. So normally it was Caymanians, if they could find them. That's why y'all all went to the University of Tampa back in the day, because you're like, that was the Caymanian hub. That's where all Caymanians were, right? And then, as that started to change and shift a little bit, some of y'all started to go to USF. If you couldn't find Caymanians, you would seek out other Caribbean people, Jamaicans, Trinidadians, I don't know who else y'all were trying to identify with. I say that to say that a lot of this comes down to human nature. If you're traveling halfway around the world, 4,000 miles around the world, you're going to have support groups and seek out people who understand your culture, who understand your food, who can help you navigate the environment, the language, everything. And that's why the Filipino population, when they come here, they have their Bahanihan community. They have their festivals. They do stuff because, yes, they are very, very far away from home. And it's not as easy to just dive in and immerse yourself in somebody else's culture. You're used to the things that you're used to. And that's kind of a little bit of comfort. So, yes, people can be cliquish based on culture, without a doubt, based on where they're from. But I think that people need to, they themselves need to go out and seek a bit more than that. And not only do they need to seek a bit more than that, but we also have to be inviting. Because I'll tell you what, whenever I've gotten an invitation and the Filipino community has extended an invitation to me, I've been, I remember when I did an interview in one of their shows, they're like, okay, Sandy, after the show, what we do is we have like a communal meal. Will you join us? I could have easily said, nope, I got to get back home. I got stuff to do at home. And I said, okay, let me message Marlon, tell him I'm going to be a little bit later. And yes, I will sit down and break bread with you and I will talk to you. And through the exchange of that, you have to open yourself up a little bit. You will be very, very interested to know, how they see us as people. I understood a lot about them. It was like a potluck. So they were explaining to me that like one person will bring a dish, another person brings another dish. It is very, very interesting to see how they come together and how they share resources and how they operate, right? But you have to be open to that. We as Caymanians can be extremely closed-minded. All I'm suggesting is sometimes perhaps we're closed-minded to our own detriment. I know our little whatever square footage we have here, we believe is the end all and be all of the entire universe. And this is why it's also very, very important for us to travel as people and to see much more diversity around the world, right? So, when we do that, they're also more likely to accept an invitation if it's extended to them to come. Let's go to a Caymanian event so that you can see what that looks like. Let's go to the museum. Let's do this. Let's do that. So I think there are opportunities on both sides of the equation for everyone to kind of open up their arms a little bit, so to speak. Right? Think about it culturally. We are physically closest to Jamaica. We have a lot of family ties and so forth to Jamaica. There's obviously still differences between the cultures. And yet sometimes we are the farthest apart, as you would think Jamaicans and Caymanians would be the closest, but sometimes the barriers and the division between us is extremely significant. And to this day, you still hear Caymanians saying, boy, they don't understand us. And I'm sure that Jamaicans say the exact same thing, but we don't understand them either. And there is an expectation that when you come to this country, you should be the one making the most effort to assimilate into this culture. And I do agree with that. But I think that if you put up barriers where people don't feel like, even if they're trying to make an effort, that you will include them or that you will, embrace them, people are likely to just shrink away and stay within their own little cliquish groups. So Blair says, being Caymanian is much more than a piece of paper. It's history. It's love for a country. It's knowing the good old days. Either you're part of our community or not. I'm technically a paper Caymanian, but by all means, I am much more Caymanian than some other paper Caymanians. Don't put us all in the same category. Don't be so quick to dismiss some just because of status. Good morning, caller.
Miss Sandra.
Yes, sir.
I think somehow we are beating a dead horse with this immigration and nationality thing.
Okay.
The status graph, it was the straw that broke the camel back. Our politicians, and I say so, I hope they're listening, that were and still are too big to be told. With all of those status graphs, regardless of which nationality, about England said this, such a lie. England did not say that we had to do it in the way in which it was done. They said, yes, you need to do something about it. So, in my opinion, for political gain, they gave all these foreign people Cayman status so they could probably depend on the vote. Another thing is about for points. Get so many points. That is and was so elementary to go that route. If someone is a good citizen into your country, you will see them like before Wassel Johnson and Mr. Dennis Foster. If they're seeing someone that was really valuable in this country and behaved themselves for so many years, they would call them in for status, okay? No, we got this thing. I'm sorry. We lost it. We're gone. And I'm not being discouraged. I'm speaking facts. We're not going any place. It's too much of a different culture. It's a culture clash that's into this island. And we can only talk about it, but good luck to anyone that think that we are going to correct us again. It's too late. The cows are done going through the gate. And I will say that it is a sad situation because a lot of those people come in here and they come with their culture, their attitude, and say, I'm Caymanian too. If you Caymanian too, okay, we're not expecting you to be perfect, but have a little bit of class in understanding of what being a Caymanian is. Just going around shaking your shoulders and say about who running things. It is so disgraceful. Miss Sandra, I'm sorry I'm going to get off now. So we talk to you soon. Have a blessed day.
Thank you so much. Thanks too. Somebody said, Dirk not going to respond to no emails. It takes him an average of 3 months to reply to simple email. This is the head of the public transportation unit. Wow. 3 months to reply to simple emails. Well, that's the kind of messaging that the head of the civil service, Mr. Franz Manderson, should be aware of. This is a hot mess. One person says, honey child, how can the public follow the immigration laws when the immigration officers are breaking them? You have immigration officers married to Hondurans and they're literally separated and they are in a whole relationship with other people. And now a child is also included in the picture. The whole island knows that the wife even posted on her social media that she's not with her expat husband and a few hours later deleted it. This is an immigration officer, been in there for many years. So she can say she don't know, she can't say she doesn't know the laws. So the point being there that there are people in immigration also abusing the system. What a hot mess. I tell you. Wow. This person says, Caymanians can stop all of this. No more marriages of conveniences, no anchor babies, hire more Caymanians. So this person's saying a lot of this is not the government to do. The government will put regulations and policies in place. How about Caymanians themselves stepping up to the plate and protecting, as y'all say, your birthright with all these fake marriages and other stuff? Touche. Good point. Damien says, just look at most restaurants and resorts. They don't carry any Caymanian dishes to make food culture awareness. It's done in other countries. True. Miss Darlene says, we're done, sold out. Too late. Just enjoy it the best that you can. Well, I think that defeatist attitude, Miss Darlene, wouldn't help because there's still a lot that we could do. We still have stuff to protect, honey child. That's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, so we're off the radio now, by the way. Radio folks, y'all know 9:30, that part of it stops. Damien says, if it's done here, the recipe gets twisted with all sorts of other kinds of ingredients. Natasha says, the problem I have with many is there's no attempt to acculturation or accommodation, not necessarily assimilation. Okay. I would prefer to see these immigrants and new residents practice amalgamation, which is a blending of cultures, rather than one culture eliminating another or mixing into another. Natasha, that's going to be kind of deep for most people, but I see what you're saying, because these things mean very, very, she's throwing out some big words at us this morning, honey chill. But yes, they are very, very different things, in fact. Okay. And again, the interesting thing is probably the one culture that we have blended with the most would be the Jamaican culture, especially with the food. So there are a lot of aspects of their food that Caymanians have adopted as well. But that's very, very interesting. Morning, caller.
Good morning, Miss Sunday.
Morning, dear.
Regarding the topic that you're having this morning, my point on that topic is that a lot of persons that come here and get Cayman status, it's not that they don't want to adapt to the Cayman system, you know. It's that some of them really don't care. That's my point. Some of them really don't care because they feel like what they do back in their country, they can come and do it also, and not knowing that it's not the same. Because my daughter is here. My daughter has been here for almost 2 years now. And let me tell you something, Miss Sandy. Sometimes I have to say to her, "You sure you're Jamaican?" She said, "Mommy, I live here now. I have to adapt. I live here now. I have to do what they do here. I have to." And let me tell you something, Miss Sandy. This little girl, she know the Cayman national anthem. She know the motto. She know everything. And sometimes she speak just like how the Caymanian speak. And sometimes I be like, "No, I don't think you're a Jamaican. I think you're a Caymanian." She said, "Well, this is my home now, so I have to do what I have to do to make myself fit right in." So it's not that they don't want to do it. It's like most people, they just don't care, Miss Sandy. They just carry the same attitude, the same behavior from where they're coming from here. So we have to put a stop to that, because not everything that we do in our country is acceptable in another man's country, Miss Stanley. So that's just my take on that.
Yeah.
So we can do better when we go to live in somebody else's country. We can do better, and we must do better, Miss Stanley.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
All right. Thanks very much. And somebody sent this video. Somebody else did share this with me. I'm going to share this from a Jamaican guy. I think he posted it on TikTok. So give me 1 second. I'm just going to download it. Someone sent it to me a couple of days as well. And I think it's a good point to make also. Aline says it's not Jamaicans alone that drive the public buses, but some of them don't even know English. Some of who? The Jamaicans? Who doesn't know English? I mean, I don't know. I would, again, you can certainly correct me with some proper statistical information, but I would say probably a good 80 to 90% of the bus drivers are Jamaicans that have status now. I've never seen a bus driver from any other country, to be fair. I mean, Caymanians, yes, but other than Caymanians, than Jamaicans. So who else is driving the buses? I've never even seen a Spanish person drive a bus yet. All right. This person said, technically, all of the drivers are Caymanian, but them have status. PTU, not going to improve as long as Dirk is there. Lord Jesus. Take the wheel. Take the bus. Take the bus. Dirk not going to respond to emails. It takes him 3 months on average to reply to a simple email. So my question is, I don't know who Dirk is, but how does he keep a job with that type of inefficiency? I'm curious. Romelia says, I think all these status giveaways should be recalled. once determined that they didn't meet the quieter of receiving it. I have no idea what that means, Miss Amelia. Trying to figure out what you mean there. Okay. First of all, the status grants that McKeeva gave now have been, over 20 years ago? There's no recalling those. In case y'all forgot, let me put it in proper context for you, what happened back then. Because I think, we didn't have as many, stations, and people are not as in tune to what was actually happening in this country. Y'all will remember that the likes of Wayne Panton and other groups who eventually went on to form the PPM because of the foolishness that McKeeva was doing, we stood up against it, including myself. And there was a legal challenge that was brought with the status grant situation. Wayne Panton put his money behind that over 20 years ago so that people could fight and challenge that. And I think the outcome was that it was clarified in law that on an individual basis, people could lose it if they were engaged in certain behavior. Because remember now, we gave it to criminals and all sorts of stuff. So people could lose it. And also, I think there were some things that were put in place where basically that couldn't happen again. So there were some legislative changes that cabinet still gives out cabinet grants, to be honest, but they're not giving out by the thousands like McKeeva did back in the day. And to be fair to McKeeva Bush, it wasn't just him. It was everyone who was part of his government at the time. So Ralston was in there, Mr. Pearson. These people were submitting names of their barbers and this one and that one. And some people even went as far as saying that there were even some people who would have been in the opposition at the time who were also submitting names of people that they thought were deserving of it. And there was no criteria. There was no, literally, you guys might not remember this, but there was like a line of people at the immigration office and at the old police station trying to quick time grab a police clearance, because that was the only thing that they needed, really. Your name was on a little piece of paper. Grab your police clearance, and then all of a sudden, boom, you were able to get status. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, honey child. How are you?
Not bad, dear. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored beyond all measures.
Wonderful.
Sandy, I've been asking this question over and over, and I'm also on your show over and over. You just made a statement saying that these status holders need to uphold the law or they can get it taken away. Am I correct?
Well, yes. Normally that is a possibility. Mm-hmm.
Okay. My thing is, look at how many different nationalities have been charged, drugs, guns, all type of, and our status holders. Mm-hmm. And there's nobody to hold them accountable. I've asked our DG, what in a meeting already, what a police meeting, what happened when these people broke these criteria? At the end of the day, I told him, I sat in his status award ceremony, and I overheard him telling them they have to uphold the law. So what happened to holding them accountable if they break that law? If they're not, they continuously breaking the law. They got a bunch of them out here all day long. The only living they know how to make is selling drugs in our communities. And isn't that enough to take their status and deport them? What is it? Because at the end of the day, some of them cry out, they have their family to feed. They got so why not go make an honest living? Why is it that you're out here in our streets all day long selling drugs? Some of that time, the families don't even see them. Children don't even see them, much less weeks, days, months. They don't see them, but yet they're claiming on family. They're claiming from family. You understand? I think it's about time that our DG needs to get his act together. If there are, they have ways of knowing through the court system what's going on. And the court, as well, the judge as well. I think it needs to be a vice versa tag team play. They touch him with it, and this one has come before me.
Is that something that the DG has the power to do? That's not
him giving
CB. No, but it's CBC and WORC who by law has the power of revocation. So I think you might be putting something on the DG that really isn't on him, none at all.
But at the end of the day, you Charlie, I'm seeing and I know it's him who it goes through him. It's him who does the ceremony. Again.
Yeah, he might do the ceremony.
So, and he also says
hold on, Ramelia. Let's pump the brakes for a minute and back it up. Put it in reverse. He might do the ceremony, but he's not actually the person there who's accepting these applications and approving them. You understand? There's a difference. There's the technocrats, or in other words, the civil servants, who, if you meet the criteria, and their boards, who that's their responsibility to review applications that have been submitted, and then the boards approve the applications, and then he just from a ceremonial perspective shows up and swears them in as Caymanians, yada, yada, yada. But that does not mean in law that he has the power to undo their legal status.
Okay, great, fine. But at the end of the day, Sandy, whoever is in this cap fall under should take it up and use it, exercise it, make an example out of some. Maybe we'll have a better Cayman.
Yeah. And as somebody rightfully pointed out, he only does the naturalizations. So he doesn't, do anything else. All right.
Okay, because I addressed him and he should have said something. He should have said, well, Miss Ramelia, this is the way it go, and it's not directly
him. But maybe he just gets so tired of people complaining to him that he just listens and don't say nothing again. That could be the case too.
Really?
I'm just saying, yeah. He probably just sick and tired of people complaining to him, so he can just be polite and listen to you, knowing that he's not going to bother correcting you, because most people probably don't listen to him when he correct them anyway.
But seriously, at the end of the day, Sandy, it is a serious issue that needs to be looked into. You understand? Because we have a lot of them. We have a lot of them out there that all they do for a living is sell drugs and create havoc in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Who are here on status or has residence or the rights to work through marriage. And at the end of the day, they're not with their spouse.
Mm-hmm.
We find that very, very often happening in the community.
Yes, and once that's reported to WORC, they should be acting on those investigations accordingly. I agree with you there.
All right, my darling.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, so Miss Aline says apparently we got African drivers here. I've never seen an African bus driver yet, Miss Aline. Show me the one that we must have in Cayman. She says, Miss Hill, Africans drive bus here. Which Africans? I have never seen a single African bus driver in Cayman. Which route is he on, please? Because there could only be one. You said Africans, plural, but I seriously doubt that. If there's one, that means he has Cayman status and he's married to Caymanian probably. But who is it? I've never seen an African bus driver. Anybody ever seen an African bus driver? I'm just saying. All right. Somebody says, yes, he only does naturalization. He doesn't do status or PR, and that's correct. His office. Ay, ay, ay. What a hot mess. Okay. This person says, people cuss about Jamaicans being in Cayman, but yet they get upset when immigration turn down their applications for worker. You can't have it both ways. Not just that, but like the previous person said, Caymanians can take this into control themselves. Stop entering into marriages of convenience. Stop having anchor babies to keep people in Cayman and hire more Caymanians to work in your businesses. Kaboom. Problem solved, honey child. Okay. All right. Let's listen to this video that somebody sent me. from a Jamaican national living. I'm assuming he's in Cayman, but let's see what he has to say.
By now, so I'm always tired, though. All right, me tired again. Me tired of the Jamaicans, them. Will live a Cayman and I complain about the place. Hard, expensive, and I cost the place. Awa, when I can't go back home. I want to leave the people in the country and go on back on the yard. I go on home. And I can bet on still find money for send a Friday evening time and Saturday morning time. I can bet anything. I still find it. I go on back, man. Go on back, go find something better. Something where you pay better than where you get yourself. No go on, man. Because we all know, we all know say it's not easy, But sometimes you just need to humble yourself, man, and just roll out. Just don't put your party, you can't reach it. Get away, man. Go home.
Yes, sir. What a mess. So Eileen says, yes, miss, I take the bus. Miss Celine says, there's one guy, West Bay route. He's clear skin, pretty eyes guy, and he's African. Well, he must be the only one, like I said. If there's one, that's plenty. Bravon says, there's 2 African drivers that I know, and they drive the West Bay route. Okay, so we found 2 out of how many? Surely they can't be the problem. 2 out of 100 is still a significant minority. And I've never heard anybody complain about the African driver. I didn't even know there was any because I've never heard anything about him. But Shisha said the African bus driver runs the Georgetown to West Bay route. What a hot mess. All right, folks. I'm sorry we didn't really get to our topic today. We'll touch on it tomorrow then. Friday, I will not be here. As they say, catching flights and not feelings. Good morning. Okay. All right, everybody else, we will see y'all tomorrow. If all gone, please give me the Amazon link. Okay. Call one of the inspectors, Mr. Banks. Well, apparently he's not going to answer the phone anyway. The bus drivers also have a bad habit of stopping right before a pedestrian crossing. The traffic law states that no one should within several feet of a pedestrian crossing. Could be 60 feet if I'm not mistaken. But there's also a bus stop by the pedestrian crossing at Andy's Rent-A-Car and West Bay Road, and that creates a danger. So you mean to tell me that the people who installed the bus stop and allowed it to be installed didn't know about the rule? Well, let's ask the NRA about that. All right, we'll ask some questions. Damon says it's 40 feet. And Jennifer says, I think bus drivers can be on work permits. Miss Marjorie says, Kirk Supermarket employs a lot of Africans, FYI. What does that have to do with the bus drivers? I'm just saying. Miss Amelia says, she going again? Just one day, honey child, just one day. I need to get ready for my October trip. So I got to October, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. Start to get ready for that. I'm just saying. Mentally prepare yourselves. Kasha says most Africans who come here are more educated than Caymanians. I know several of them, and they all have a master's or doctorate degree. Yes, honey chill. All right then. Goody. Oh yes. Okay. All right, everybody good? I think so. Oh, snaps. I gotta go do something online. All right, so those of you who requested the one of these, just resend me a message because the messages go down the line, and I'll see how many I have. I have a few, so if I have enough, I'll do it in order of whoever requested them first. And then, yeah, we'll arrange to get. Now, don't be requesting it and you don't go pick it up, because these are precious commodities. Shaka Zulu says, actually, Auntie Sandy, I don't remember your vacation for October being approved. I know, right? If I had to request vacation, I don't think y'all would ever give it to me. But yes, we're going to take a proper de-stressing vacation. Couples only. No kids allowed. And going to have a good time going halfway around the world. Okay. Something the immigration department has to look into is when they do background checks. FYI, WRC doesn't do background checks. This is why we are in the mess that we're in. Well, I mean, they have compliance people, so they should be able to do background checks. Nope, not going to Venice, but I wish. I saw somebody post some pictures about Venice, Italy, and I was like, oh, I need to be there. That looks like an awesome place to go. One day. Don't come back. Pregnancy is strong. Strong will. One and done. That shop is closed, honey child. All right, good people. Thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning into the show. I tell you what, the 2 hours seems to go really quickly. Like the 3 hours, but the 2 hours, wow, it's like boom, 2 hours gone already. And you're like, oh my God. I tell you what a thing. All right. Yes, honey child. Charlotte says, if you come to Scotland, call me. I will. How big is Scotland? Like, can I see Scotland in a week? Or do I need more time? And the thing about it, if you're going to Scotland, you might as well just go to the UK and see that part. And then you think to yourself, oh gosh, I might as well just do more of Europe, fly to Ibiza and all these other places. So I feel like that trip, if I'm going to go there, should be like a month. So yeah, because it doesn't make sense to fly 12 hours, 15 hours, and then you got to turn around and come right back home, right? Make it count, honey chow. All right, good people. So tomorrow we'll talk about sexual predators. We're going to obviously talk about the ones both overseas and in Cayman, because we have our homegrown imported predators right here in this little country. And I must say that, once the discussion starts to happen in the public, we should take these opportunities to remind ourselves that now I can walk around probably looking like I got hickeys today, trying to see how bad. Oh my God. How bad it looks. Oh yeah. So if y'all see me with these marks, look, you see? Yep. It's pulling it all out, honey child. If y'all see me with these marks on my neck, because I know I have a couple from the professional. Let me turn around. I'm going to show you guys kind of what they look like. You're not allowed to start any rumors about Auntie Sandy got a hickey. See? Do you see this? This one here is the one from the acupuncture. No, this is what I just did this morning. I can feel it raised this morning. But there's some on here from the acupuncturist. Y'all can see them. See, this is from him, because I haven't done this side today. And I mean, literally, you can feel the pain like in those areas. Oh my God, I think I'm going to spend a couple hours today doing this. But you see it there? It comes up like as a little bruised area, and that'll stay there for a little while. So don't start any rumors about I'm going around getting any hickeys, because that's not what this is. This is, yeah. And it's actually warm to the touch because it was a little bit of heat. But it really, since I've been sitting here doing this, I do feel quite a bit better. So I just need to keep going. Anything that you can do to help, child, any of these little tools, I'm all for it, because I hate, like I said, having to take medication and stuff. Massage helps, stretching, yoga, Pilates, any of these things that we can do to help our bodies be more supple and limber, Amaya says, I support Caymanians 100%. When I came here 26 years ago, my first boss was a Caymanian. And then my second boss was a Caymanian. And then my third boss was a Caymanian. And I've never been mistreated by any of them. Like the phenomenon happening now, My last job, all the managers are people that know each other. One of the supervisors doesn't even speak English, but yes, is a supervisor. What a hot mess. Because she's married to one of the management staff. And yes, they mistreat people because they have a position, but not even speak. And then, sorry, it got cut off. Ay, ay, ay. Shaka Zulu, behave yourself. All right, folks. Thank you guys very, very much for tuning into the program. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Yes, honey child, God's willing, we will be here. Let me check Mr. Panton. Normally he comes on a Thursday. I'll check and see if he wants to come on, see what's going on, and keep you guys posted. Until tomorrow, have a good day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.